Hey everyone, this is Francesco from Fleshgod Apocalypse, and you're watching That Metal Interview. Stay metal.
That Metal Interview.
Okay, so first question I ask everybody, where are you? What part of the planet?
I'm from the center of Italy. Actually, I'm living between Rome and Florence, let's say, something like that in the countryside. So pretty cool place to be now. So yeah, now spring is coming, almost here. So, and where are you from?
I'm from Texas, the U.S.
Oh, super cool. Yeah.
Yes, I've always wanted to go to Italy. I've always wanted to go to Europe, but I've never been fortunate enough. But one day,
It's time.
right?
It is. Yeah, indeed.
Also,
Yeah, I felt like it's been like a crazy long winter, but now it looks like the weather is getting better and better. So also the mood in a way. So yeah.
awesome. So first question, before we get into your band and your career and the tours and this and that, what was the scene like in Italy? Francesco, what was it like? Yeah, did you play clubs, bars, festivals, or
Yeah,
did you go straight into
yeah.
getting
When
signed with a
we're
label?
like, I'd say that when I was young, I mean, like when we started with the bands 20 years ago, it was definitely much more. There were more like clubs and venues and spots where you could play, more underground festivals. So there was a proper scene. Probably it was the tale of a bigger scene that was more rooted in the 80s and 90s, something like that. So we were like the last generation having the luck to share these places, these venues, these stages. And then there was some kind of I don't know, like the whole thing felt asleep for 10, 15 years, maybe. Like things were like less and less spots, less and less festivals, and less concerts in general.
Really? Wow.
And now everything is coming back super fast. Like almost every weekend we have a big show. Almost every weekend we have like mostly in the north of Italy, because geographically is the closest to the center of Europe. So it's mostly where all the tourists pass through, because the south, it's being a peninsula, it is very far from the rest of Europe. So it is extremely expensive for tourists nowadays to come down to Rome, for example. But Milan, Turin, Bologna, Venice, these places, they have big shows, big festivals. And now with that all market restarting, also here in the center and in the south, things are getting back on track, let's say. So we have some clubs, we have some small festivals, and things are better than before. So the scene is coming back, and in a way it's stronger and younger, which is a good thing in perspective. So
When you started off playing at live venues, Francesco, did you start off this heavy, or did you say it
no.
was more like an 80s kind of thing?
No. I mean, like me personally, yes, I always played death metal or thrash metal, so always been in the extreme. No, what I was saying is that these venues or these festivals, the old promoters and the whole scene was mostly populated by people that started to listen to metal in the 80s or the 90s. So we were a kind of the last generation using these clubs that afterwards have been converted into discos or pubs or places where you go to eat or to hang out, but you actually don't play, you know? So you don't have the stage, or you don't have like a room big enough to have a concert there, you know? It's more like, yeah, discos or stuff like that. With some rock and metal, yeah, those kind of things always, they kept doing that. But proper concerts, there was from like around 2010 up to 2020, it was worse, and it was less and less and less and less. And now things are going back super fast.
What was the first band that got you into metal or rock? Whether you're a kid or a teenager, and you're like, man, this is what I want to do.
Honestly, it's like I had a friend in the middle school that showed me, like, he came with a cassette, and it was very random stuff. There was a webzine. No, not a webzine. It was a proper magazine, actually. And with this magazine, they were including in the magazine a CD, and this CD was a compilation of all bands. And you could find anything from like ska to punk to like regular rock music, up to, I don't know, like extreme metal, you know. So it was mostly alternative and underground music. And we were converting those CDs into cassettes. And he came to school, and he had this cassette. It was like, oh, hey, you have to listen to this, you know. And there was a replica from Fear Factory in that album, you know, small. And I was like, oh shit, you know, this is the most powerful thing I ever heard, you know, like this is insane. And starting from there, I started listening to heavier music and more and more, and then I found out death metal, European death metal with Entombed and Net Decays, all this stuff, and all the American death metal, like you know, Decide, Cannibal, and Morbid Angel. And so mostly this stuff was in my playlist for a long time, like it still is. And like but I also listened to a lot of rock and prog rock, and afterwards I started to appreciate also like lighter metal, like also early thrash metal. So I was one of those guys that started with a heavier shit and then went back to, oh, you know, maybe I should have listened to some Metallica songs to learn completely and understand completely what I'm listening to. And then I went back to Iron Maiden, and went back to one of my favorites from the old school wave, Judas Priest, for example. So like this stuff came afterwards. I was kind of creating my, you know, I was going to school in a way, you know, like going back to these bands to figure out better what I was listening, what I was, you know, how these new bands that I was listening to, which influences they had, you know, stuff like that. I was listening to Slipknot, and for example, and I didn't know like older stuff like Slayer or stuff like that. And then I went back and it was like, oh, you know, this is the real shit, you know. So stuff like that. So it's more a backwards process, let's say.
Yeah, same thing here. I mean, I know the interviews about you, not me, but same thing. I discovered Master of Puppets, and then I went backwards, and I discovered Raining Blood, and then I went backwards, and same thing. But we're still metalheads anyway, so
yeah.
So we know, for people that don't know, and some people do know, you play a bunch of different instruments. You were the lead singer for the band, and then you were the drummer for the band.
Yeah.
And then you play bass.
I played almost everything. Yeah.
You play everything. I mean, which is your first instrument that you picked up, and which is your favorite instrument?
The first instrument, like at the very beginning, I was playing guitar and I was singing, and you know, in the songwriting process, like throughout the whole career of the band, you know, I kept playing guitar. I didn't play guitar live. I played guitar the first 3 or 4 years. And then I went back. Started play drums and played drums for 8 years, 8, 9 years, something like that. And then in 2017, I went back to guitar. and I played guitar for a bunch of years until a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I started playing bass live because we had some lineup changes, but whenever we had these lineup changes, I always kind of had to replace somebody else in a way, so I just adapted. But it's mostly live. The thing I miss the most throughout the career, the thing I enjoy the most is writing the music. So that thing stayed for, no matter what was the instrument I was playing live. So I've always been very involved in that, and it never changed for me. Live things changed, and probably the thing I missed the most when I was playing drums, it was not being the frontman of the band. So, because I started that as the frontman of the band, so when I went back to guitar and singing, I felt like, oh, this is my spot, this is where I belong, and I don't want to go back to drums. So sometimes, yes, like they ask me, you want to go back to drums, and it's not. I always my answer is always no, but not because I don't like it. It's mostly because I like it more now. So I have this. I use this band as a way of express myself artistically, but also personally. And it is much more. It is way closer to what I want to do, singing what like the lyrics and what I write, compared to playing drums on this music. So it's more. It's more what I want to do. So it makes me happier anyway.
Well, I'm a musician here in Texas, a local musician. Nothing like tours like you guys, nothing like that. It's just a local thing, And I have to, hats off to you. I mean, you can't just say, I play bass, I'm going to change the guitar now. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to change the drums and do all this double bass stuff, Fleshgod stuff. And then, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to do lead vocals. And that's super talent. I mean, that's super talent in my eyes. So congratulations,
Thank you. But I feel like probably the goal, the drive that I have is basically doing Fleshgod, So it's like, I understand that it is complicated. I mean, like, I'm not saying that it was easy at all. It wasn't. But at the same time, if you have the right motivation, you have the right drive, even the hard stuff becomes doable. Okay, so never becomes easy, but becomes doable. You start thinking, okay, I made some progress. If I start from this, probably in 6 months I'm gonna be better, maybe better enough to play live, for example. And then you get there and you see that you actually progressed and actually figure out a way to go live. And then you go and you start and you suck. And you're super sloppy, but at least you're going around. You're playing your music, and at the very beginning of a band, nobody really care if you're sloppy or whatever. They just want to come and go out and have fun. So you take that as an opportunity and say, okay, now I play live, I play drums, I play guitar, whatever. I sing, but I suck. I still suck for a good standard, and then from there you start making your own experience, and also that is progress, and then after a year and a half, you reach a point where everything is your average performance is good enough to maybe try to go on a tour, and then you jump on a tour and you realize you suck again, and because you look around and everybody is much more is tighter or more talented or more experience than you, and you just have to be humble and try to learn from everybody. And after a couple of years, you start seeing this, you start getting results and seeing more progress, and then you are probably ready to play shows like headlining shows. And then it's like that. probably the hardest thing is is being patient, how it's waiting. Like, it is really frustrating. So probably the biggest talent I have is that I survived the frustration. That's the biggest. Uh, and yeah, and then probably the other thing is I always had this dream, and I never left the path. You know, I knew that I was doing something right, and I always stick to the plan. Like, okay, with up and downs, with, you know, many misadventures, whatever, but still, you know, trying to stay on track all the time, and never get really, you know, never stop believing in what I was doing, you know. So yeah.
Well, it takes a lot of like you said, patience and a lot of passion from your heart to
Yeah.
succeed and get signed. And at what point did you guys get signed? Was it right away, or did you guys?
Well, it was pretty much yeah. Also that, you know, when I say up and downs, and being very, you know, and trust the process. That's what I mean. Like, we got signed straight away with a single or 2 songs, but the company that signed us went bankrupt. So you see, you know, everything was amazing from the first minute, and then it was a nightmare for 2 years, because this company, we had the contract with this company, and this company was going down and down, but the bankrupt and the closure of the company, it wasn't official yet, so we had to wait. So, like, for example, we had the first album at the end of 2007 or early 2008, for example, but we weren't able to release it until like 2009, or like, I don't remember when was it, but it was almost two years later. So we got signed to another label, which is an American label, Willowtip, amazing label. They have a lot of, like, it's a very cool catalog with a lot of underground music that I love. And from Willowtip, we started with that contract. We got some kind of, you know, hype that allowed us to go on tour with other bands. And we did a tour with Suffocation and in Europe, and then they took us in America. And on that tour, we met Nuclear Blast for the first time. Nuclear Blast guys.
There you go.
And we got signed to Nuclear Blast for a bunch of albums. And now we're still with Nuclear Blast after, I don't know, like, it's 15 years probably.
Big shout out to everybody at
Nuclear
Blast.
I think we signed with them in 2010. So at the moment we are 16 years and 5 albums with them.
Speaking of music, and have you guys ever been too heavy for a tour? You know what? This band offered us a tour, but they're too soft. We're too heavy for that tour. Let's not do that.
Well, you know, we are, no, I mean, like, we are. It happens, but we didn't say no. We were like, you know what? You never know what happens, because I always believed that the energy and the way you are on stage, the way you are, you know, kind of, I don't know, you are living that moment is much more important than what you play. I mean, in the long run, of course it is. You come to a show and you listen to, I don't know, rock, like light, heavy metal, whatever, and you see Fleshgod, and it's probably too much, okay? But in the long run, it is, because you don't go there and listen to the music probably on like, you're not gonna put any of our songs in the playlist, but probably you're gonna enjoy the moment, and the name and the band and the memory are gonna stick with you forever, and that's what counts in the end, you know. Because sometimes instead you go and you discover a band, you discover a genre, and maybe we turn you into a heavy music listener, you know, you never know. So we always took all the cool opportunities that we had to play, and we tour with many bands that are on paper lighter than us, but we never cared,
Yeah,
and always made new fans. So
exactly.
I believe that we have to be open minded. We also have to have uh, a little bit more positive consideration of the fan base, and not just like, oh, these guys are, they just listen to ballads or whatever. Even though we play ballads, we write also very, very light music. Sometimes it's not the average. The average is mostly heavy shit. So for many of these fans that are not used to that kind of sounds, it might be too much, but maybe not. Maybe, especially nowadays, if you see, like, there are super extreme bands that are breaking through in the mainstream, you know, and the process is pretty similar. You know, they didn't really they've never been concerned of not be liked by the people. They always, you know,
Yeah.
tried, and in the end, that pays off.
Can you speak of, if it's okay, you had a near-death experience, an
Yeah,
accident, and how that changed you as a person? Are you a different person now, or?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the turning point of my life, let's say. So yeah, it is different, and but in many ways it is better. So yeah, when, like, I had an accident, now it's 4 years ago. I'm almost fully recovered from that. Still some small things to fix, and yes, and you disappeared for some
Yeah.
reason.
Okay, my bad. Yeah.
And now you're back. Yeah, and yes, it's been a long process, especially mentally and psychologically. Still, you know, giving some sometimes, you know, I have a bunch of reminders within my body that makes me that brings me back to that moment, and all this mess definitely made me a much more mature and probably more conscious guy. So I appreciate life much more. I definitely more aware, like self-aware, how you call it, self-conscious. Before, everything was like, oh, you know, living at max, like over the max, over the top all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And which is great, no regrets at all. But at a certain point, with this I figured out that probably happiness is not there, you know. Also, serenity is a great form of happiness, very underrated, and nowadays I can see the difference. I can appreciate it much more. So yeah, I'm a different
Awesome.
person in this, in you know, in under this aspect completely. Like really, 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 really far from who I was, you know, before the accident.
Wow. Well, hats off again, and glad you turned out okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like it's 50-50, let's say 50-50, like 50% the doctors and 50% the willpower and the desire to go back to my life, you know. So yeah, I share the credit with these people.
Wow. You got a tour kicking off in April. you have a North American tour, right? Correct, with the Avatar, and then there's some
Yeah.
dates by yourselves where you guys headline.
Yeah, we're
So
playing Dallas in Texas.
yeah,
And we play San Antonio. We play. I don't remember exactly, but I think I have the list somewhere here. But let me check if I find it.
yeah, I'll make it out to that one, San Antonio.
You come to San Antonio. I think we also play more shows. Like this is the routing. Let me check. We do Dallas headlining at the Granada, so that is going to be a longer set. Then we do San Antonio, and then for the people in north, we play Oklahoma City, also, which is Oklahoma, but it's not too far from other place. And yeah, mostly these 2 shows plus this Oklahoma City is not super far.
Awesome. Can't wait to
Amazing.
see you
Yeah,
guys
I love
live.
playing Texas. I love playing Texas.
Yeah, it's a cool area. It's a big state.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest states in the U.S. for sure.
Yeah.
I'll see you in San Antonio for sure. First, before I let you go, would you like to send a message to the fans? And is there any hopes for a full-length album, new one?
For the new album, I don't know, because we're working on some new stuff. We're always working on some new stuff in the off days when we are, not touring. So we have some things aligning, but probably it's too early to talk about a new album. We are very slow with this kind of things. It's like we are super perfectionist in a way. So sometimes it takes months just to come up with a good idea, and so it's a slow process. And but we are kind of feeling that we are getting somewhere. For the fans, especially Texan fans or whole American fans, you guys know what to do. You have to come to the shows, and we want to bring the best experience ever every time we come on stage. So we just want you to be with us, and especially in the headline shows like Dallas, or we're gonna play a different set list, like a longer set list, and we're gonna play I think 1 or 2 songs we never played live. So it's a good opportunity to check these new songs live. So that's and we love America. I mean, it's probably the place in the world where we are more welcome. So we are super happy to be back for the 3rd time on this new record, Opera. So amazing.
Awesome. I can't wait to see you guys live, and keep it heavy, Francesco. Keep doing what you're doing, and
Always. Thank you very much, man.
Keep up the
Thank
good
you.
music, and I will see you at San Antonio or Dallas here sometime soon.
Okay. Thank you, man. See you in a
Thank
month. Goodbye.
And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Francesco Paoli, lead vocal and guitarist for the symphonic technical death metal band Fleshgod Apocalypse, straight from the country of Italy, Rome to be exact. I could be wrong, but we thank Mr. Paoli for accompanying us to promote the tour they are in right now in North America, 2026, of course. They are supporting Avatar. They are right in the middle of the tour as we speak, but depending on when you're listening to this interview, you might be able to catch them, or the tour might be over. So it all depends when you are listening to this. The tour started April 16th and will end on May 20th in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, at the Casino Ballroom. All this in 2026, of course. And don't forget to support the guys and girl, because they do have a girl in the band, Veronica, on the vocals. She sings all the soprano clean parts. She's been a part of this band since 2020, give or take. The band is rounded up of Francesco Perini on the piano orchestrations, Eugene Ryabchenko on the drums, Fabio Bartoletti on the guitars, lead guitars, and as I said right now, Veronica on the soprano clean vocals, and of course the head of the snake, the head man, Mr. Francesco Paoli, the multi-talented. If you guys heard the conversation, this guy played drums for the band at one point, and he also played bass at one point, and then he played guitar at one point, and now he does lead vocals and guitar. So Francesco is a completely gifted musician. So via Nuclear Blast Records, shout out to those guys out there, guys and girls, working hard to promote those bands. Thank you guys for providing these artists to us podcasters and to us fanatics that want to hear from these people, right? We only see them on YouTube, and we finally get to ask them questions and speak to these guys. So thank you, Nuclear Blast Records, and thank you to the PRs, public relations. For those of you that don't know, these are the people that PRs are the people that connect us podcasters, interviewers, to the band members directly. So anyways, Fleshgod Apocalypse, support the guys and girl. Their last album dropped 2024 by the title of Opera, and they have about 6 albums: Oracles, Agony, Labyrinth, King, Velino, and the last one, Opera. Of course, they have an EP in 2010, Mafia. So, and the demo in 07. So thank you, Francesco, one more time for being a part of the podcast, That Metal Interview Podcast, all the way from the state of Texas. And don't forget, guys and girls, to catch them on tour right now as we speak. This is your chance to catch Avatar and Fleshgod Apocalypse on their North American 2026 run. You cannot miss this. So anyways, don't forget to keep it metal.
That Metal Interview.